Welcome to Cooking with Gerald. Today you will learn everything you need to know about growing squash in a container on this episode of Cooking with Gerald. Container gardening is a truly wonderful way to grow your own food. It doesn't matter if you have a sprawling garden or just a small balcony. A few well-chosen pots can bring so much joy and productivity. You have complete control over the soil, which is a real boon. Pests can sometimes be easier to manage too. And let's not forget the sheer satisfaction of stepping outside your door to pick something you've grown yourself. It connects us to the seasons and the earth, even in the most urban of settings. This method is incredibly versatile and rewarding for all. Now, you might think squash plants are too big and sprawling for pots, but with the right approach, they are a fantastic choice for container gardening. Many modern varieties are more compact, and even the larger ones can be managed. Imagine a beautiful squash plant with its big, lush leaves and vibrant flowers right there on your patio. It's a statement in itself. Growing squash in containers means you can give them the exact conditions they need. This often leads to healthier plants and a more reliable harvest, which is what we all aim for as gardeners, isn't it? The beauty of container gardening squash is its accessibility. Perhaps your garden soil isn't ideal, or maybe you have limited mobility. Pots bring the garden to you at a comfortable height. You can move them around to catch the best sun or protect them from harsh weather if need be. This adaptability is a key reason why growing squash this way has become so popular. It opens up the possibility of a delicious squash harvest to so many more people. It's all about making gardening work for your space and your lifestyle, which is a lovely thing. Squash, in particular, offers such a diverse range of types. From the quick-growing summer squashes to the long-storing winter varieties, there's a squash for every taste and every season. By choosing container gardening, you can experiment with different kinds. You might discover a new favorite that you wouldn't have had space for in a traditional garden bed. It's a journey of discovery, and growing squash in pots is a delightful way to embark on it. So let's explore how you can achieve this rewarding experience with these marvelous plants. Summer squash varieties are a delight for the container gardener. They grow relatively quickly, and you can often harvest them for many weeks. Think of courgettes or zucchini, as they're known in some parts. Varieties like Black Beauty or Golden Zucchini do exceptionally well in large pots. They tend to be bushy rather than long vines, which makes them more manageable. Patty-pan squash, with their charming scalloped shapes, are another excellent choice. Sunburst is a lovely yellow variety that is both productive and ornamental. These are the sprinters of the squash world, rewarding you quickly. When choosing summer squash for your containers, look for terms like bush type or compact. These indicate plants that won't try to take over your entire patio. For example, the round zucchini, such as Ronde Denise, is perfect for pots. They produce charming spherical fruits that are delicious when picked young. Crookneck and straight-neck squashes, like early summer crookneck, also adapt well to container life. The key is to provide a large enough pot, at least 20 litres, or even bigger if you can manage it. This gives their roots room to grow and supports good fruit development. One of the joys of growing summer squash is their continuous production. If you keep picking the fruits when they are young and tender, the plant will keep producing more. This is particularly true for courgettes. Don't let them grow into marrows unless that's specifically what you want. Smaller fruits are generally more flavorful. Regular harvesting signals to the plant that it needs to keep making more flowers and consequently more fruit. This ensures a steady supply for your kitchen throughout the summer months, a truly rewarding cycle for any gardener. Remember that summer squash flowers are also edible. The male flowers, which appear first, can be picked and fried or stuffed. It's a lovely culinary bonus. Just be sure to leave enough male flowers for pollination if you're not hand-pollinating. Growing these types of squash in containers allows you to observe this fascinating process up close. You'll see the bees buzzing around doing their essential work. It's a small ecosystem right there on your doorstep, providing delicious food and a connection to nature's rhythms, which is simply wonderful. Winter squash varieties offer a different kind of reward. These are the ones you grow through summer to harvest in autumn for storing through the colder months. While many winter squashes are vigorous viners, there are some more compact or manageable types suitable for large containers. Consider smaller varieties of butternut squash like butterbush or honeynut. These produce smaller fruits on less rampant vines. Acorn squash, such as table queen or Ford hook acorn, are also good candidates for spacious pots, often having a more bush-like habit than their larger cousins, making them ideal. The key difference with winter squash is their growing season. They need a longer time to mature, so patience is important. However, the thought of having your own homegrown squash for winter soups and roasts is a great motivator. When selecting winter squash for container gardening, again, pot size is crucial. You'll need a container that's at least 25 to 30 litres, or even larger if possible, especially if you're attempting a variety that tends to vine. Providing a sturdy trellis or support for any vining types is also essential to keep the plant tidy and the fruits off the soil. Unlike summer squash, winter squash is harvested when fully mature. The skin will be hard and the colour rich. This hard skin is what allows them to store so well. Varieties like spaghetti squash can be fun to grow in a container, offering a unique texture when cooked. Smaller pumpkin varieties, often called pie pumpkins like sugar pie or Jack Be Little, can also be grown in large pots. Imagine harvesting your own little pumpkins for autumn decorations or delicious pies. This adds a lovely seasonal touch to your container gardening efforts. Caring for winter squash in containers is similar to summer squash, but you must be prepared for the longer commitment. They will need consistent watering and feeding throughout their extended growing period. Protecting them from early frosts in autumn might be necessary to ensure the fruits fully ripen. The reward, however, is substantial. A well-grown winter squash from your own container can provide delicious, nutritious meals deep into winter. A comforting thought indeed, and a testament to your gardening skill. It's a wonderful feeling to enjoy your harvest long after the growing season has ended. Caring for your container-grown squash plants is quite straightforward, but consistency is key. The most important aspect is watering. Squash plants are thirsty, especially when they are setting fruit. Containers dry out much faster than garden soil, so you'll need to check the moisture levels daily, perhaps even twice a day during hot, dry spells. Water deeply until you see water draining from the bottom of the pot. This encourages the roots to grow down, making the plant more resilient. Avoid wetting the leaves too much, as this can encourage fungal diseases, which we want to avoid. Sunlight is another critical factor for successful squash cultivation. These plants are sun lovers, thriving in at least 6 to 8 hours of direct sunlight each day. If you're growing them on a balcony or patio, observe where the sun falls throughout the day and position your pots accordingly. If you notice your plants are looking a bit leggy or aren't producing many flowers, insufficient sunlight might be the culprit. Being in containers gives you the advantage of moving them to a sunnier spot if needed, a flexibility not afforded by traditional garden beds. Good air circulation around your squash plants is also beneficial. While you want them to have lush foliage, overcrowding can lead to problems. If you are growing vining types, providing a trellis or support will not only save space, but also improve air movement around the leaves. This helps to keep the foliage dry and reduces the risk of diseases like powdery mildew, which can be a common issue for squash. Regularly check your plants for any signs of pests or diseases and act quickly if you spot anything amiss. Early intervention is always best. Finally, remember that squash plants have large leaves that can transpire a lot of water. This means they can wilt quite dramatically on a hot day, even if the soil is moist. Often, they will perk up again in the cooler evening. However, consistent wilting is a sign that they need more water or perhaps a larger pot. Pay attention to your plants. They will usually tell you what they need. A little daily observation goes a long way in ensuring your container squash plants remain healthy and productive throughout their growing season, leading to a wonderful harvest. Section 5. Feeding for flavor, fertilizing your potted squash. Squash plants are what we call heavy feeders. This means they have a big appetite and require a good supply of nutrients to produce a bountiful harvest, especially when confined to a container. The soil in pots has a limited volume, so the nutrients can get depleted quite quickly. Therefore, regular fertilization is essential for healthy growth and good fruit development. Starting with a rich compost mix in your pot is a great first step, but you will need to supplement this throughout the growing season. This consistent feeding will make a noticeable difference. When your squash plants are young and primarily focused on growing leaves and stems, a balanced liquid fertilizer is a good choice. You can apply this every 2 to 3 weeks following the instructions on the product label. Look for a fertilizer where the NPK numbers, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, are relatively even or perhaps slightly higher in nitrogen for this initial growth phase. Organic options like seaweed extract or a well-rotted manure tea are excellent choices, providing a gentle feed that also benefits the soil life within the pot, which is always beneficial. Once the plants start to flower and set fruit, their nutritional needs change. At this stage, they benefit from a fertilizer that is higher in potassium and phosphorus. Potassium is particularly important for fruit development and overall plant health, while phosphorus aids in flower and root growth. Tomato feed, which is typically high in potash, works very well for squash at this stage. You can switch to this type of fertilizer and continue feeding every couple of weeks. This targeted nutrition helps ensure you get plenty of well-formed, flavorful squash. Avoid over-fertilizing, especially with high nitrogen feeds once fruiting begins. Too much nitrogen can lead to lots of leafy growth at the expense of flowers and fruit, which is not what we want. Always water your plants before applying liquid fertilizer to prevent burning the roots. A little and often approach to fertilizing potted squash is generally better than infrequent, heavy applications. By providing the right nutrients at the right time, you'll be supporting your plants to do what they do best: produce delicious squash for your table. It's a simple step with significant rewards. Section 6. Aiming high secrets to growing impressively large squash. Growing impressively large squash in containers is certainly achievable with a bit of extra attention. While variety plays a significant role, some types are naturally predisposed to grow larger fruits than others. Your cultivation practices can make a big difference. One of the first secrets is to choose a variety known for its potential size. If that's your goal, then ensure you're providing an exceptionally large container. The more room the roots have to explore, and the more soil volume available for nutrients and water, the better the plant can support a large fruit. Think of the pot as its larder. Consistent and ample watering is absolutely crucial if you want to grow large squash. Large fruits are, after all, mostly water. Any period of drought stress can slow down or even halt fruit development. As mentioned before, containers dry out quickly, so daily checks are a must. During the peak fruit swelling stage, your plant will be especially thirsty. Mulching the top of the soil in the container with a layer of compost or well-rotted manure can help to conserve moisture and keep the roots cooler, which the plant will appreciate during hot weather. Another key technique for growing large squash is to limit the number of fruits per plant. This might seem counterintuitive if you want a big harvest, but it channels all the plant's energy and resources into developing just 1 or 2 magnificent specimens. Once a couple of healthy-looking fruits have set and started to grow, you can pinch off any subsequent flowers or tiny fruits that form. This practice, known as thinning, is common among those who grow for size. It requires a bit of ruthlessness but can lead to truly impressive results. Finally, a dedicated feeding regime focused on fruit development is vital. Once your chosen fruits are established, continue with a high-potassium fertilizer, perhaps even slightly increasing the frequency as per the plant's response, but always cautiously. Some growers also supplement with specific nutrients known to boost fruit size, but for most home gardeners, a good quality tomato feed will suffice. Protecting the developing large fruit from pests and ensuring it has good support if it's on a vine are also important. With care and attention, you could be amazed at the size of squash you can grow in a pot. Section 7. The perfect bed. Choosing the best soil for container squash. The foundation of any successful container gardening venture, especially for hungry plants like squash, is the soil type. You cannot simply dig up soil from your garden and put it in a pot. Garden soil tends to be too heavy, compacts easily in containers, and may not drain well. This can lead to waterlogged roots, which squash plants detest and can starve them of oxygen. Instead, you need a good quality, well-draining potting mix. This is specifically formulated for container environments, providing the right balance of aeration, moisture retention, and initial nutrients. A good potting mix for squash should be rich in organic matter. You can buy pre-mixed peat-free multi-purpose compost, which is an excellent base. To enhance it further for demanding squash plants, consider mixing in some well-rotted manure or garden compost. This will boost the nutrient content and improve the soil structure. Perlite or vermiculite can also be added to the mix to improve drainage and aeration, which is particularly beneficial in larger pots where the soil volume is greater. The aim is to create a medium that is light, fluffy, and full of goodness. The pH of the soil is also something to consider, though most commercial potting mixes are formulated to be within a suitable range for vegetables. Squash plants generally prefer a slightly acidic to neutral pH, somewhere between 6.0 and 7.0. If you're mixing your own components, it's worth being mindful of this. The rich organic matter you add will not only provide nutrients, but also help to buffer the pH, keeping it stable. Healthy soil means healthy roots, and healthy roots are the cornerstone of a productive squash plant, especially when its world is confined to a pot. Remember that even the best soil mix will eventually have its nutrients depleted by a hungry squash plant. That's why ongoing fertilization, as we discussed earlier, is so important. However, starting with an excellent quality soil type gives your plants the very best start in life. It provides a welcoming home for their roots and a reservoir of initial sustenance. Don't skimp on the quality of your potting mix. It's an investment that will pay dividends in the health of your plants and the abundance of your harvest. It truly is the groundwork for success. Section 8. Timing it right, when to plant and harvest your squash. Knowing the best time to plant your squash is crucial for a successful harvest from your containers. Squash are warm season plants, meaning they detest cold weather and frost. Generally, the best time to plant squash seeds or young plants out into their final containers is after all danger of frost has passed in your area and the soil has warmed up. This is typically late spring or early summer. For many of us in the UK, this means waiting until late May or even early June to be on the safe side. Check your local last frost dates as a guide. You can get a head start by sowing squash seeds indoors, perhaps on a sunny windowsill or in a greenhouse, about 3 to 4 weeks before your last expected frost date. Sow them in individual small pots, as squash seedlings don't particularly like having their roots disturbed. When the seedlings are robust and the weather outside is reliably warm, you can then transplant them carefully into their larger outdoor containers. This early start can give you a slightly longer growing season, which is especially beneficial for the slower maturing winter squash varieties. Harvesting times vary greatly between summer and winter squash. Summer squash, like courgettes and patipans, are best picked when they are young and tender. This can be as soon as 50 to 60 days after planting. Check them daily once they start producing, as they can grow surprisingly quickly. Regular harvesting encourages the plant to produce more fruit. For winter squash, such as butternut or acorn, patience is required. They need a much longer growing season, often 90 to 120 days or more. They are ready to harvest in the autumn, usually before the first hard frost hits. The signs of readiness for harvest are different too. For summer squash, the skin will be smooth and tender, and the fruit will be relatively small. Check the specific variety for ideal picking size. For winter squash, the key indicators are a hard, tough skin that you can't easily pierce with a fingernail and a deep, rich color. The stem connecting the squash to the vine will also begin to dry and harden. When harvesting winter squash, leave a few inches of stem attached. This helps them to store for longer. Proper timing for both planting and harvesting is essential for maximizing your squash yield. Section 9. Your squash success story, a final word of encouragement. Embarking on the journey of container gardening for squash is a wonderfully rewarding experience. We've talked about choosing the right varieties, from the quick rewards of summer squash to the long-lasting treasures of winter squash. We've covered the importance of good care, providing ample sunlight and consistent watering, which are the daily bread for these vigorous plants. Remember, a happy squash plant is a productive one, and tending to its needs, even in the confines of a pot, brings a great sense of satisfaction and connection to the growing cycle. We've also delved into the secrets of feeding your plants, ensuring they have the nutrients to thrive with good fertilization, and how to select the best soil type to give them a strong start. Tips to grow large squash have been shared, showing that even in containers, impressive results are possible with a little extra dedication. Understanding the best time to plant and the telltale signs for when to harvest ensures you reap the full benefits of your efforts. Each step, from sowing a tiny seed to picking the mature fruit, is part of a delightful process. Don't be daunted if you're a beginner. Growing squash in containers is more straightforward than you might imagine. Start with 1 or 2 pots, choose a reliable variety, and follow these simple guidelines. Every gardener learns by doing, and each season brings new insights. There will be successes and perhaps a few learning opportunities along the way, but that's all part of the joy of gardening. The taste of your own homegrown squash, picked fresh from your patio or balcony, is a reward unlike any other. It's a taste of achievement. So I encourage you to give it a go. Find a sunny spot, select some suitable containers, and choose your favorite squash variety. Imagine those vibrant plants, the buzzing bees, and the eventual delicious harvest. Container gardening opens up a world of fresh food and horticultural pleasure, no matter the size of your space. Get your hands dirty, nurture your plants, and look forward to enjoying the fruits of your labor. Happy squash growing! I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a thumbs up and go ahead and subscribe to our channel. Until next time, it's a truly wonderful way to connect with nature and enjoy its bounty.